When people think of prisons or courtrooms, what they imagine will be laws, judgment, punishment, and order. I'm here to tell you that it is much more than that. Few are the ones who realize that these places are also spiritual centers, spiritual crucibles actually, dens where energies collide, multiply, and linger. A courtroom is a stage. On it, you have fear, shame, mixed with rage, hope, authority. All these clash in concentrated form. Every defendant who enters the courtroom is charged with the weight of their actions, their family's grief and anxiety, or the society's condemnations. Victims and their kin carry wounds, and often they burn with sorrow or revenge. Lawyers, on the other hand, manipulate energy through words by bending narratives with calculated precision. Judges sit at their symbolic pinnacle, absorbing and projecting authority, and they use their gavel, striking like ritual seals. This is not neutral theater, I tell you. This is ritual. Every hearing is an invocation of forces that ancient occult teachings remind us. Whenever people gather to pass judgment, they call forth archetypal spirits and archetypal forces larger than themselves. Justice, punishment, mercy, and vengeance. These archetypes are not abstractions. They are living fields of energy that feed on the emotions generated within these courtrooms. The words echoing through the courtrooms are spells of binding, sealing, and releasing. Whether spoken consciously or not, the courtrooms are a battlefield of supernatural forces. Now step into the prison that is very much connected to the courtroom, depending on your fate in the courtroom. It is a cauldron of unresolved rage, regret, despair, and survival. These prison walls there absorb curses muttered in silence. They absorb the tears shed in isolation. They absorb the screams of frustration and absorb the violent confrontation that go on there. These layers of emotional residue do not dissipate with time. Rather, they ferment. The guards and inmates alike live in constant contact with these fermented energies, and it changes them gradually over time. Many are the ones who leave the prison walls, whether the officers or the prisoners, carry in an unseen stain. Broken families, mental illness, post-traumatic stress, cycles of violence, all can be traced to these hidden exchanges. But indigenous wisdom traditions have long taught that unacknowledged emotions do not disappear. It lingers in places, clinging to stone, concrete, walls, and even the very soil that we walk upon. Courtrooms and prisons built to contain human chaos become the living archives and archetypes of psychic residue. The walls themselves, they sing with decades of unresolved injustice, cruelty, and sorrow. This explains why prisons seldomly reform. They recycle pain. A man who enters a prison for a crime committed, but within those walls, he will absorb the despair of hundreds who have come there before him. A woman who visits the courtroom for justice will leave drained, as though the very floor of the courtroom pulls on her vitality. The staff members, day after day, grow bitter, hardened, and become spiritually numb. Not because they are evil, but because they breathe in the psychic smoke without cleansing. What can be done? Ancient systems would not allow such spaces to remain unpurified. Smudging, elaborate rituals, as well as earth offerings, were routines that were carried out after disputes or after every punishment is carried out. The land itself was healed after spilling of blood of animals or harsh judgment. Without this, negative forces gather, forming what occultists call thought forms or astral parasites, who actually feed on conflict, feed on pain, feed on chaos, as a result, perpetuating cycles of suffering. Courtrooms and prisons, therefore, are not simply human institutions. They are invincible theaters where energies of vengeance, sorrow, and power are enacted until they are cleansed. Periodically, ritually, spiritually, and communally, they will continue to produce despair instead of justice, punishment instead of healing.